Hi guys, here is a 13-day later update of my one book July 2014 book. So it's the 13th of July at the moment. Actually technically I started it on the 30th of June, so I guess it is 2 weeks in now. So I love this little thing, I still love it. Yesterday we went to a button shop in town and I got 3 new buttons, and this is one of them, and it's like a wheel and it's that sort of tarnished brass colour and it goes really well with this. And originally it had a different blue elastic on it, but it was so tightly knotted here that when I undid it I couldn't knot it up again the same, so it wasn't long enough to fit around the whole thing. When I tried to stretch it to put it back on, it wouldn't stretch properly, so I had to get another bit of blue elastic and make a new one. That's from my bead landing set of elastic. It was one long, really long multicoloured elastic with maybe about, what's this, 10 inches of each colour, and it kind of goes through a variation of lighter to mid to dark of that colour. So from light blue to dark blue, and then from light green to dark green, and then reds, oranges, yellows, pinks, not sure if that was a purple. And I got it when I swapped a Filofax for my first Midori, and the girl sent it because evidently she'd bought it. She's from America, so I was really lucky to get this because I cannot find it in the UK. I've searched online and I can't find it, but if you're in America and you have access to like one of those haberdashery type shops, craft shops like Michael's or Joann's, search for Bead Landing. I would have shown you the packet, but it's out of my reach, but it's really good, the right thickness for Midori elastic. So that's one of the changes I've made to this. And then the second change is that I realised that I needed the planner section of my Fodori more than the notes section, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. So originally I had the note section here, and then in the middle, to the right of this piece of card, in this middle section, I had the planner section, which was only 5 pieces of paper, which makes 20 pages. Which wouldn't really be enough for me for planning anyway. So I swapped those around, so now I've got 16 sheets of paper, which makes 32 pages, 64 sides, and then the 5 sheets in the middle, which makes 20 sides for notes. So I've got lots of pages for planning now, but I haven't started writing my planning stuff in here. And those are the major changes I've made. I started actually using the coloured paper, and I was going to use it like a pretty journal, happy diary thing. Not diary, happy journal, but I think I'm only going to be writing that motivational stuff in it. So I've just written something. I do, when I talk to people, they kind of tell me what I should be doing with my life, or what because I still live at home with my parents, but I'm really happy here. And it's not like I live at home like a child. I live at home because I pay rent, so it's just like I'm renting my room from them, like I would be in a private kind of house that wasn't owned by my parents. So it's not like I'm still living here like a child. I have a full-time permanent job, which I'm really happy with. Okay, I don't drive, but people at work keep on saying, oh, you should move out, oh, you should get a car, and I'm like, I don't want to drive. I don't think I'd be good at it. I'm happy with the bus, I'm happy with where I live, I like living with my parents, they're happy for me to live here and stuff. So I just wrote, If you're happy with your lot, don't be influenced by what other people have or what they think you should have, what they do or think you should do, or what they are or think you should be. So I think I'm going to fill this insert in with those sort of motivational, kind of positive thoughts. So it's all this colourful paper. So yeah, I haven't finished setting it up. I need to make a cover for this insert, and in the back cover I will have a secretarial pocket, and then I'll be able to put my reference notes, like my mum and dad's working times, phone numbers, that kind of thing, in the back pocket, so that I have access to them when I'm out of the house. But other than that, oh, I bought this yesterday in Waterstones. I've had my eye on them since January last year, so about 18 months, a year and a half, and I finally managed to find a K because they were in the sale, not last January, the January before, and they never had a K, and I finally found one in Waterstones, so I put that here. I did have it on the top, but then it would stick out the top above the leather, so I put it in the side, oh, that way around, so I can put like a shopping list or something on here. Then I've just got my bullet journal, my 6 pocket folder, which is really tatty, and I need to make a new one because I use quite a thin card, and so it's starting to get damaged at the top and bottom where the elastic is rubbing on it. Got the cover I made for the middle insert, so I've got my new planner section which I have to fill up, and then the piece of card that is kind of like the divider or cover for the middle section, which is the notes, and then the rest of the planner section. The back of this cover, which I don't know if you can see, but is kind of flat embossed butterflies, because when I run it through my die cutter to emboss this side, it flattened all the embossing on this side. Got my Glendaslam pen loop, the other side of the 6 pocket folder, the front of the pocket Filofax top loading pocket, fixed with sellotape to the other side, which is the cut down personal size credit card insert, which I need to put my important cards in, like my organ donors card, in case of emergency type of cards, that sort of thing, and my insert, and then the back. So I'm really happy with it. Ever since I put in the paper for the planner insert, it has started to slip a bit. Before, it was a good weight, and if it gets any heavier, like if I put an extra notebook in and stuff, it tends to pull on the elastic, and it started doing that now because the leather that the paper that I've used for the planner insert is the Rhodia paper, which is a heavier weight than I was using for the notebook paper, so it started to sort of slip, like you can see just there. It sits like that, so I have to keep pushing it because this is very floppy leather and this isn't very thick, strong elastic, so these notebooks are starting to just poke out of the bottom there, and the leather's starting to slip, so I'm trying not to be too concerned about that, because I was very annoyed about that when it was happening on one of my other Fodoris. Anyway, so that's that, and I really love it, but I'm not happy with it being my only book. I think the good thing about this One Book July challenge is that it teaches you what you really need or what you don't need, and I don't think when Romany designed this challenge, and when her and Carrie and Vicky were kind of planning it, I don't think their only intention was just to challenge people to only use one book for 1 month and that would be it. I think they designed it so that we could see what we really needed, and so we could stop sort of wondering, oh, would this work for me, would that work for me, and just get on with you and use something. And you may find that it works perfectly for you and carry on using it, or you may find that actually I really don't like that and I'm going to use something I used to use or something new and different, and it will really teach you what you actually do need. I have learnt from this that I can use a small sized planner. I don't have to use A5 or Midori standard size, so that is a really good lesson for me. Also, it's taught me that I don't have to just use colour coding. These are my pens, Stabilo .88s. I love them so much, and I used to colour code in my diary, and it used to be a problem because if I didn't have access to my pens, I wouldn't write something down because I'd have written it in the wrong colour, I'd have written it in black or something. So I would not write it down until I had access to my pens later, and then by then I would have forgotten to write it down. So now I know that I can just use my black pen, which is great. So that's another lesson for me, and I'm kind of like just slight modifications, like learning that I need the planner section as the main section rather than the notebook. That is a really important lesson for me, and I think that's something that you forget when you are so kind of obsessed with finding the perfect notebook cover or the perfect Filofax cover rather than actually thinking about what is inside. This is a kind of trial. It teaches you. It's really, really important. But then it's also taught me what I do need that I can't fit in here. So when I said about that I needed more of the planner insert and less of the notebook insert, it wasn't because I don't write many notes. It was because I do write lots of notes, and that I couldn't just use this size paper. I mean, I did use this size paper for a long time for my university ideas. When I was walking in between buildings for lectures or walking to work or walking home, I used a lined Moleskine size notebook for essay notes and stuff, just things that I have ideas of that I'd follow up later. I wouldn't actually do my proper essay notes in there, but I would just write down my ideas. So it worked, but then I could do as many pages as I wanted. But kind of like, I feel like on this spread that I should only be doing one subject per page, and that's just not enough for me when I need to sketch something out or do a diagram or something. Especially because I'm so used to the A5 size, this is quite a shock to the system. So I've realised that while I can have, you know, the sort of 10 pages for quick notes for when I'm out, when I don't have access to my notebooks, that's absolutely fine, and that will work because I don't write that much when it's only a quick note. But when I actually need to write notes, I do need it on a bigger book. So I do need to have an A5 notebook for my main notes, but that is in contrast to the way I was doing it before, which, you know, was like 10 different Filofaxes. So I think what I'm going to do now is use an A5 notebook as a notebook journal. I did a blog post a couple of days ago on the different types of journals. Let me just grab this one. This is one I just got. I'm not going to pronounce this right, the Leuchtturm, however you say it, 1917 grid notebook. I want to turn this into a notebook journal, by which it helps me distinguish between Dear Diary journals and What Happened Today journals. I call them notebook journals because it's more like a notebook, but when you look back at it, you know, in 10 years' time, you will think of it more like a journal because it captures your kind of mental state, your ideas, your emotions, your thingy through your notes. You're not writing, today I feel miserable. You're writing, you know, random notes that you can look back and go, oh, that was my state of mind at that time, or that was what I was obsessed with that time, or that was what, you know, I had ideas about that time. It's really interesting. Well, but I will be using it as a notebook, but I also want to do arty spreads or arty backgrounds and write over them. So I'm going to be using this in conjunction with my Fodori. So it won't be a one book July, but I feel like the challenge teaches you so much about your own needs that for me it isn't a challenge to just use one book. It is a challenge to work out what you need, and I don't see the point in spending the next 2 or 3 weeks going, I can't wait until August comes so I can start using what I need. I don't see that this, I don't think that Claire and Carrie and Vicky are going to turn around and go, oh, you've stopped following the rules, you've broken the rules because you've started using another book, because they're not like that. And I think they will be like, I'm glad that you have embraced the challenge, I'm glad that you're carrying on with the one book that you started with, but they're not going to tell me off for starting something that I've realised I've needed, because in the next 3 weeks I'm just not going to be happy with just this because I've realised I need something more. I won't be writing stuff down that I need to, I won't be making my projects you know, proper notes on them, or really writing down the stuff that I need to get off my brain. I really do need to start using this, so it's fine to use them both in conjunction. I have embraced this book, and that is the most important thing, I think, but starting to use this will open up kind of more ease of note-taking for me, now that I realise that I really do need this size and that this won't work for me. I'm not going to punish myself by forcing myself to use this for the next 3 weeks when I know it won't work, just as a notebook inside this planner. I need a distinct notebook. But then I'm not sure if I should use this book or if I should carry on one of my unfinished ones. I kind of like the idea of using a new one, but I've got my bullet journal that I haven't finished using, that I really started using only for a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, and then this challenge came along and I stopped using it, and I always thought, oh, I'll go back to it in August, but I'm happy with this now. So that book's sitting with only about 30 of the pages used, so it's kind of, I do feel like maybe I should start my notebook journal in there rather than in this one, so that I can at least use the book, get my money's worth, and then when I finish using it, put it on the shelf and be proud of it. So I may do that, or I might start using this one, I'm not sure. So I'll show you when I have sort of not so much set it up, because there's nothing that I really need to do, but when I've used a good chunk of pages, so I can sort of show you what I mean by that, that type of notebook, what I mean by a notebook journal, how I'm decorated the pages or whatever. So yeah, I'm pleased with this one now, and it's nice and small, it's compact, and it sits well in my hand and in my bag and even in my coat pocket when it rains. I like the weekly layout, I like bullet journaling in between, I like using these monthly inserts with the bit on the back to, you know, with the dots to indicate there's something on the back, with a little note there for something happening that day for my forward planning, with little notes on the back there. And then I'm going to start filling in my planner, and I'm going to make my reference inserts that go in the back, and yeah, it will be a little everyday carry. That is what my purpose of this thing is, but it's just not a notebook, so that's why I need this one. So yeah, there you go. Thank you for watching, and I will sliding I will see you soon.